Anything else you want to say to your fans, man?
Man, shout out to DONTAE'S Boxing Nation. You know, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Errol Spence Jr.
DONTAE'S Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Man, this is a great time to be a boxing fan. I mean, with the emergence of Shakur Stevenson, Errol Spence, and the whole PBC organization just constantly putting on great fights on free TV. You got Robert the Ghost Guerrero fighting this weekend, and you have Errol Spence facing Leonard Bundu. Let me go ahead and talk about why I really like this Spence versus Bundu fight. I like the Bundu fight because Bundu is durable. When he fought against Keith Thurman, even though Keith Thurman clearly won the fight, Bundu was able to frustrate and confuse Keith Thurman at times in that fight. He was able to land some really good shots on Keith Thurman. Despite Keith Thurman knocking down Bundu, Thurman couldn't knock him out. So if Errol Spence can go 2 for 2 in knocking out opponents that had never been knocked out before and had been in the ring with bigger names that were more experienced in the ring, fighters like Manny Pacquiao, Amir Khan, Ruslan Provodnikov that could not knock out Algieri, fighters like Keith Thurman, who said that Errol Spence wasn't on his level, could not knock out Bundu. It would be very interesting, and it would be very impressive, I should say, if Errol Spence can knock out Bundu. Now, there's no guarantee he can knock out this guy because, you know, realistically, there are just some opponents you're not going to knock out. Some opponents, you're not going to knock them out because they're just extremely durable. But a lot of times, fighters, they go in there in survival mode. And fighters that go into that mode are extremely difficult to knock out. So it'll be interesting to see if, once again, Errol Spence, he could put it together. I told you guys before, you know, if you look at the pattern of boxing, you'll notice no matter how hard a fighter punches, usually when they step up in competition, the knockouts slow down or even evaporate, because now you're facing guys with much more technique, defense, intelligence in the ring. We've seen this with Manny Pacquiao. Hell, we've seen this with Floyd Mayweather. You know, it's so funny. People don't realize this because, once again, since Floyd is on the coincidental list, they only talk about him not getting knockouts. But if you look at Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather's track record, what you'll notice is both Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, they were getting a lot of knockouts when they were in the smaller weight classes, right? So you have fighters like Manny Pacquiao, who's supposed to be known as a power puncher, but once again, once he stepped up in competition, he got no knockouts. You notice Canelo Alvarez, when he steps up in competition and he faces the Lauras, the Austin Trouts, all of a sudden, you don't see those fantastic knockouts. Now, of course, when Canelo fought a welterweight in Amir Khan, who was known for not having a great chin, you see the knockouts. But when he steps up in competition, the knockouts evaporate. The reason why I'm telling you guys all of this is because I believe Errol Spence is that very special talent. Not saying he's going to knock out everyone, but I truly believe Errol Spence is the type of fighter that can actually knock out guys on the elite level. Once again, like those type of Thurman Porter fights, those type of Broner Porter fights, those type of Kell Brook Porter fights. I think in fights like those, Errol Spence, he could knock out guys on that level. I'm not mentioning any names right now, but I believe he can knock out fighters on that level. So there's no guarantee, you know, he's going to knock out Bundu, because for all we know, Bundu, he may just come there to completely survive. But if he puts on a fight the way he did against Keith Thurman, I think there's a very good chance Errol Spence can get the knockout. Because see, Errol Spence, he knows how to place his punches. Errol Spence, he knows how to adjust. He is very versatile in the ring. He has an unbelievable body attack, but at the same time, he has the intelligence and the slickness of a Floyd Mayweather. That is a very dangerous combination. A slick fighter, a rhythmic fighter who can fight on the inside and the outside, who can knock you out with one punch to the head or the body, has a good defense, and he's a southpaw. Very, very dangerous combination. Very dangerous combination. This is the reason why whenever I ask professional boxers and trainers who they believe is the best welterweight that would be the last man standing if all these guys were to face off, they always say Errol Spence. Despite Errol Spence's best competition on his resume being Chris Algieri. Why is that? That's because when you see a certain type of talent, when you're a real good scout, you don't always need to see an opponent or a special fighter in the ring with a special opponent just to gauge how good he is. When I seen Floyd Mayweather with only like 6 or 8 fights, I knew how special he was. I knew there was a very good chance he was going to replace Roy Jones Jr. as pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Now you win some, you lose some. I'm not saying you always know who that person is going to be, but I knew when I seen Floyd Mayweather that was going to be the case. I feel the same way with Errol Spence, and only time will tell and prove me right or wrong. So we will see. But I don't see anybody beating Errol Spence. Bundu, it'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out. He's a switch hitter. He as well, he can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside. He's very durable. So this is a good fight, man. This is a really, really good fight. You know, when he was supposed to fight the other guy, and now I forget his name, the Russian fighter that Abel Sanchez trains. What is his damn name? I haven't used the name in so long I forgot it. But anyway, the guy that was the #1 contender and he pulled out of the fight, I thought that would have been an excellent fight. But when I found out that he was replaced by Bundu, I wasn't disappointed at all, because once again, we get to compare how he does, how Errol Spence does against Bundu versus Keith Thurman. I mean, Keith Thurman himself, he even said that he's going to be watching this fight very closely. Keith Thurman, he knows that a Thurman-Errol Spence fight is on the horizon. I mean, he even said it himself that, you know, he believes that fight may take place around the end of 2017. And I agree with him. I mean, you know, once again, the thing with Al Haymon is he puts these boys in there up against each other. Okay? Once again, we got Mayweather-Pacquiao, we got Thurman versus Porter, we got Broner versus Porter. And the reality of the situation is we got those fights because of Al Haymon. Hell, we got Errol Spence versus Chris Algieri because of Al Haymon. Chris Algieri was not that interested in that fight, and for good reason. But Al Haymon, he made it happen. Al Haymon, he made it happen. Al Haymon damn near said, Chris, what can I do for you? What can I do for you to make you comfortable with taking this fight against Errol Spence? That's what he did. So I tell you this because I believe we're going to see Errol Spence against Keith Thurman. And you know, I commend Keith Thurman out of all the welterweights, because even though all the welterweights have acted extremely reluctant when it comes to facing Errol Spence, because deep down they all know how much of a threat Errol Spence is, I have more respect for Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman didn't really make the same type of excuses that other fighters were making, because other fighters, they were like, look, he got to do this, he got to do that. They were trying to make it seem like he'll never be ready for them, right? But Keith Thurman was more realistic. He was like, I'm not saying I'm ducking him, but I'm just saying let's wait another year until it's a big ass fight. I know how good Errol Spence is. He says something on the lines of that. So, guys, we are on the verge of seeing some 1980s type of stuff in the welterweight division. I mean, with Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, and even other fighters coming up, moving up. You have Felix Diaz that just pulled the upset and beat Sammy Vasquez. Sammy Vasquez is even still there. But there are a lot of great fights that can be put together. I believe Kell Brook will come back down to welterweight. I don't think, even if he beats Golovkin, I don't think he would stay at middleweight. If worst case scenario, I think he would most likely go down to junior, or maybe I should say go up to junior middleweight from the welterweight division. But, we'll see. We will see. So I'm just rambling on right now. But anyway, make sure you guys tune in and check out this fight. It's on Sunday on NBC. I tell you guys all the time, PBC reminds me of a league, the NBA, the NFL. I tell you guys all the time that since Al Haymon has come along, fighters that he basically manages, they can lose a fight. And unlike the old days where a fighter, he loses a fight, a big name fighter, he loses a fight and we don't see him for like 6 or 8 months, or maybe he takes the whole year off, right? But you notice when it comes to Al Haymon, these fighters, they can lose a big fight, like Broner lost to Porter, and they get brought back like the next 2 or 3 months. This is how Al Haymon gets down. It's very similar to a league, the NFL, right? A team could lose this week, they're right back in there playing next week. And when I see that this fight is on a Sunday, that's more reminiscent of NFL, NBA. Because just like the NBA, you're getting multiple fights on multiple networks on all days of the week. Al Haymon is breaking the rules when it comes to the old tradition of just airing fights on a Saturday or maybe on a Friday. They're either always on a Friday or Saturday. This Errol Spence fight is on a Sunday, okay? I've seen PBC fights on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., etc., etc. Because Al Haymon is changing the game. So, once again, I'll be watching this fight on Free TV on Sunday, and we'll talk about it after the fight. That's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.